give two people, poor person $1 million, wealthy person $1 million. Poor people get money and they start calculating the new furniture they could buy, the trips they can go on, the new car they could lease. They essentially spent the $1 million before it's even finished the wire transfer. The wealthy person doesn't rush to do anything with the money and starts considering, based on their allocation in their portfolio, where can I get the best return that makes the most sense for the long term. Poor people use money to consume. Wealthy people use money to create more money.
Why do you think most people are broke?
I think most people are broke for a few reasons. The first one is that they don't realize that they're responsible 100% for their life. Like 100%. They're accountable. Like there's nobody coming to save you. There's nobody that's going to do it for you. There's no moment where somebody passes away and leaves you a bunch of money. There's no lottery tickets. There's no going to the casino and winning. There's literally you saying, if I don't make this better, it will not get better. That needs to happen. Second part is they're broke because they don't realize that the world will compensate you based on the value you bring to the world. So if you're upset with what you're making income-wise, or you feel like people are taking advantage of you, you have to ask yourself, what could you do to become more valuable? What are the skills you have to acquire? How do you add those skills? Like that, to me, those two things, if you can be 100% accountable for your situation and develop yourself to become more valuable for other people. And then I would say the third thing is to know your worth. Because I don't think, even if you had those first two, if you didn't believe you deserved more, you'll never get a penny more than you think you're worth. So if you don't feel you're worth more, even if you're more valuable, even if you're 100% accountable, but you don't ask for it, it will never show up in your life. That's why I think people are broke, is because they're not willing to be accountable for their situation. They're not willing to invest in themselves to acquire new skills that are more valuable. And they're not willing to ask for what they think they deserve because they don't think they deserve a lot. And no other person is gonna teach you how to deserve more. You have to decide that you are worth it.
Tell me something about rich people that 99% of people don't know.
That rich people are harder on themselves than anybody else will ever be on them. I think most rich people are so misunderstood because people think they have the easy life. And what I've discovered is the people that have wealth are wealthy because they were willing to do the work. In many ways, I think their work ethic is a reflection of their gratitude. It's my experience. I think rich people honor the fact that they've been given an opportunity and a blessing. I'm not talking multi-generational wealth. I'm not talking about people that are trust fund kids. I'm talking to people that have created their situation. And it doesn't mean that they own a business. It could be somebody that's an executive at a company that gets paid a lot of money to do what they do. What you will quickly learn if you spend time with them is they are more hard on themselves, more critical of their performance, more driven to do better than anything any person could say to them. And for some of them, it's not a life you would want to live. And I think that's misunderstood. A lot of people say, well, I want to be rich. It's like, I don't know if you want to have all that comes with being rich. Because it isn't easy. It only becomes easy if you learn how to deal with those emotions, the feelings that come with being rich, and realize that to the degree that you can deal with bigger problems, you will actually live a more fulfilling life.
You went from rehab to being a multi-millionaire. What changed?
What changed? Rehab to multimillionaire. Kind of everything. Like everything had to change. My whole worldview. When I go back 25 years coming out of this place, Portage, that literally saved my life after spending 11 months there trying to learn about myself and what made me tick. There was so much that had to change. I would say the thing that is universal though, for me, for sure, is that I believed I could do it, but that belief came from other people. So I didn't believe I could do it. Other people believed that I could do more, but I accepted the belief. And like, that's a different thing, because there's been situations where people have talked about kind of what they think they see me doing. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't ready to believe it. But the one thing for sure is, because I had shown up and got sober and then got out and started in business. And even though I failed for 7 years of trying, back-to-back failures, people still believed, because of what I went through and where I was at, even in the failures, that I had potential, that they saw the passion I brought to anything I did. They believed that there was eventually going to be some kind of success. I don't think any of us could have predicted what it became, but that was probably the big thing that shifted for me, was just the belief that I could be one of those people. Because I grew up my whole life not believing that I was even worth breathing the air I was taking up. I mean,
what should I do if I don't have anybody that believes in me?
Well, if you do believe in a creator, that's a great place to start. That's just the truth, man.
Can you expand on that?
I've just got so much gratitude. When I look at like what I went through and what life I get to live today, and just like, there's no other way any of this happened without him. And that's why I think I wake up every day to just try to be better. Is just, I want to honor the fact that I was given a chance. Like, there's no world statistically where I'm alive, let alone thriving, let alone having resources that I get to choose to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, with whoever I want to do, and be wherever. Like, I mean, it's just an honor. And when I think of how close it came to that not being the case, it gets me emotional. I think that if you don't have anybody that can believe in you, know that he believes in you, that your creator believes in you. If you follow my content, I believe in you. I don't even need to know you, because I know who you were created by, and I believe in you. Like, I legit see you doing something incredible with your life. I think it's why you're watching this video. Sometimes people want to see a sign. They're like, show me a sign. And the sign's right there. The sign could be this conversation. It literally is not, it doesn't have to be a big grand gesture. It can be a moment with a person, a video, an audio, something you hear or see or you read, and you're like, oh, I've been asking for this, and it's right there. I think I've had hundreds of those show up in my life. Sometimes I wasn't paying attention. Sometimes I was. Sometimes I played it down. Sometimes I played it up. But there's opportunities every day to see the absolute blessing that is called life. And we get to live in it. And whether we want to do something with it or not, time's going to pass. Today's going to pass, this minute, like literally every day, seconds are going to pass. And I can either choose to actively engage in my life and create something from it. The fact that I have consciousness and I have the ability to have judgment and make decisions, you know, I'm alive. Those are all real things. I can be grateful in this moment for the air I breathe. Like, crazy grateful. Because in 3 minutes, if you didn't have any air to breathe, you would wish you did. So, I don't know. I think sometimes we need more than we think we need to actually decide to just change things. I don't need any person to validate my ideas. I just got to realize that, like, hey, if I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it, and I don't need anybody to believe in me, because what if they can't see my greatness because they're too close? What if the fact that they're my family or my friends and they've known me for a long time and they don't see what's changed inside? That's the hard part, is the, fitness journey. People see that physically, they see it. It's easy to correlate. Oh, you used to be this, now you're that. But when you're on a journey of personal development and growth and mindset growth, they don't see it right away. And it's easy to feel like they don't understand. It's not their fault because they don't understand what you see inside. They don't hear the words you say to yourself, but you've seen this whole new pattern emerge. And you got to be willing to be misunderstood by the people closest to you because they're too close to see the greatness that's brewed inside. And you just have to be okay being misunderstood for long periods of time. And over time, if you show up and you do the work and you swing, it'll connect. And then they'll all go like, oh yeah, overnight success. Not really. If anything, not impressive. If anything, 25 years in the making.
How can I overcome the fear of starting?
For me, the way I always overcome the fear of starting anything is realize, one, the people that I care about their opinion are more worried about their own life than my life, right? Everybody's living in this movie called Me Movie or Me Inc. And they're like worrying about what everybody else thinks of them. And we think they're thinking about us, but they're not. So first off, judgment from other people about what I do with my life, I usually park those things because I realize that their beliefs in my decisions are 100% a reflection of their own limitations, judgment, reality of their life they've lived, not on my reflection of my life and decisions. So that's one. Two, most people's worst case is actually other people's dream scenario. Think about that. Most people's worst case scenario of having to live with their parents again, having to lose everything and sell it, or whatever it is based on where they live in the world, the worst case for them is some other person in the world's dream outcome. Some other person in the world that woke up today that doesn't have any food, a place to sleep, anybody that cares about them, your worst case scenario would be their dream life. Put that into perspective. So like starting or trying is kind of silly if you take that into consideration. And then the other thing is tomorrow is definitely not guaranteed. But I don't even look at it that way. I think about it in 5-year increments. Like if I only had 5 years to live, 5 years to breathe, 5 years to expand and grow and create and spend time with people, what would I want to do over those next 5 years? People should get really familiar with the concept that their life is very impermanent. It's here and gone. 5 years is enough time to do something meaningful without being wasteful, right? Like I don't think people should pretend like I only got a week to live and go stay on a beach. No. 5 years is like, hey, I want to leave an impact. I want to serve. I want to create. I want to help other people. How could I do that? And I just think that getting comfortable with the fact that you're going to die is a beautiful way to prioritize decisions. And if you have any inclination, here's the crazy part. I don't believe God puts ideas on your heart that he doesn't think you can pull off. You wouldn't even have the idea to start a business if it wasn't possible. And there's never been a situation, I know this to be true for all people, where you've been put in a tough situation that you didn't make it through. I'm not saying you got the outcome you wanted, but it's very rare for somebody to be pushed into a corner that rose up that didn't get through that tough situation some way, somehow. And I think we just forget that if you just decide the reason it was on your heart is because it's meant for you to go create that outcome, that business, go after your dreams, that you will be given the strength to accomplish that. And it's why for you specifically, you've had this thought. You probably have a dream that I've never even considered, nothing I'd ever want to desire or get or anything. You have a unique vision of your life that I've never had that's only yours. And the reason why is because it's meant for you.
I'm setting goals and dreams, but I'm not achieving any of them. What should I do?
Measure and get feedback. If you're setting goals and dreams, okay, and you're not achieving them, two things that are missing. Measuring progress. Where are you at now? Where do you want to be? What should you be making progress towards? What's the number? Most people don't break things down into actions, right? So if I know I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. It seems to be everybody's, or make 100K a month now. It seems like that's the new number. Then where are you at? If you're 22, you want to be a millionaire at 30, that's 8 years. Break it down. Now it's not linear. It usually kind of goes exponentially, but you should be on pace. Then you measure it every quarter and every month. So now we have a measurement timeline, but then we got to back it up by like what kind of activities or decisions would create the scenario for that to be true. Obviously, if you want to start a business or you want to get into a structure in your current company where you can get paid based on performance, those are all things that could, you could save your way to that. You can invest your way to that. Definitely invest over save. But then you have a measurement. Now, what'll happen is along the way, at some point, you will plateau. Here's what I know to be true 100% of the time is there will be issues. There will be problems, or I like to call them puzzles. You will face adversity. And the way to overcome that is to get feedback. It's to find people that have built the $1 million a year business or more and ask them for feedback to analyze your strategy. And those people typically will come in, look at it, and within seconds go, oh, change this, tweak that, start this, stop that. And all of a sudden, the momentum builds back up. There's no person I know that if they're honest with themselves, measured their progress along the way, and if at any point they felt like they hit a wall, went and sought advice or feedback from people that have been there before, and took that feedback and changed and tweaked their strategy, I don't know anybody who hasn't been successful. But a lot of people just lie to themselves along that journey. And they'll say, oh, it's not for me, or it's hard, or it's not working. Well, it's not working because you don't want it to work, because you're not giving feedback. You're not seeking out, well, this is uncomfortable. Yeah, I know. That's the work that has to be done. Anything that's easy, that's immediately that's not the right thing. It's supposed to be hard. You're supposed to deal with adversity. That will make you better. Steel sharpens steel. And through that journey is how you actually become successful.
What's the number one trait in successful people that you've observed through the years?
Number one trait? Man, that's a great question. Number one character trait, the number one. Like if I had to there's a lot of stuff, determined, grit, resilient. But I would say is they have the ability to drive. And it's not like some people can have spurts of it. Successful people are driven. They're driving. They're in the driver's seat of their dreams. The people on their team feel the energy of forward motion. And even if they have a flat tire, they fix the tire and they're back to being driven. Successful people literally feel different when you talk to them. They're not looking at their feet, they're looking at the skyline. There's a different energy of even their language, their focus, what they work on. But the word that always comes to mind, if I think of my mentors, my coaches, the people I work with, my friends that are incredibly successful, driven individuals. It doesn't matter. Are they outgoing, introverted, creatives, engineers, left brain, right brain? Doesn't matter. What's true amongst all of them is they are driven. You can feel that energy to forward motion and creation.
What makes someone successful, in your opinion?
Financially successful? See, this is the thing is words matter and meaning matters, right? So for me, success is not wealth. Success, if you do things primarily for money, or every decision you make is based on money, then I don't actually think that's success. I think success is this concept that I got from my coach, which is blissfully dissatisfied. I think success is waking up every day and being so ridiculously grateful. I think success is waking up every day and being so ridiculously grateful that it could bring you to tears. And in the same breath, realize that you were here to create more. Not out of a place of lack, not out of a place of recognition, not to fill a void that's inside, not to create because you don't feel enough. Know you're enough. Feel that. Realize how big of a blessing everything in your life currently is, no matter how good or bad it is. Just absolutely feel the gratitude for the presence, and know in that same breath that you're here to do more with your life. That to me is success, and it's not a number in a bank account.
How can I find my purpose?
I think every person's purpose sits right next to the worst thing that ever happened to them. And here's why. I usually ask people at like, what level of income? Is it 100 grand, 500 grand, $1 million, $10 million, $100 million a year? What level of income personally to you do you stop thinking about accumulation and things you could buy and start thinking about giving to other people? And that's a fascinating question, because some people it's like 100,000. They're thinking I'll give 50 away. I can live off 50. Some people it's north of 10 million. So there's a big range. But what usually follows that is, if you had that surplus, what cause would you want to invest that into? What pain or challenge do you see people face that you would love to help them overcome or make easier for them? And it's usually aligned with the worst thing that's ever happened to them. You know, growing up in poverty, growing up without a father, growing up in being abused in some way, experiencing, medical illness or whatever it is, just some kind of pain you've ever experienced. Maybe it was a loved one, and usually right next to that pain is your purpose. And when you can pair your vision for what you're here to do, the purpose in your life, if you can figure that out and then you pair that up with a way to create a business that supports that, it's aligned with that, where the business and the purpose are the same thing or directionally serve the same thing, that is a winning recipe. So I just can't see a world where somebody wakes up and says, hey, by helping people, I get to collect resources, aka make money, and then take that and support a cause, an organization, or people that you feel absolutely compelled to serve based on what you experience in your life that's super unique to you. I think if every person woke up with that drive and desire, that would change the world. It literally would. We don't need billionaires to fix problems. We need people to go create millionaires and then solve the problems around them in their community.
Is making a lot of money a bad thing?
No. Everybody should want to be rich. Every person should have a desire to create resources to do more. I have a problem when people say that they really care about helping people and they think that playing small is helping anybody. Because if you see other people be rich or have more money than you and you think that they're not using it right, great. Go become a millionaire. Go grab that resource. Go create a better mousetrap. Go build a business. Go become more to go be rich, and then do what you want with the money. And people say, well, it's not about the money. Well, I say, well, go become a millionaire and then decide what you want to do with it. But don't tell me it's not about the money, because the money is a reflection of the value created in the world. So I think every person should have a desire to be rich. Go get as much money as you possibly can. And then as you're doing it, choose what you do with it. And I think that is just a beautiful way to wake up every day. It's not about, saying, well, rich is bad. There's nothing wrong with creating resources. Like every day, the more options you have, the bigger the opportunity to live a fulfilled life. So if you want to donate to a charity, do you want to donate a little or a lot? I want to donate a lot. Cool. Go get rich. If you want to help a cause, you want to help a little bit or you help a lot? I want to help a lot. Great. Go get rich. You got this person you want to bless. You want to bless them a little bit. You want to bless them a lot. Great. Go get rich. There's nothing wrong with being rich. The desire for why, I think, is a problem. What you do once you collect it is a problem. The way you think about yourself or make decisions once you have money, it could be a problem. But money is a tool, no different than a fork is a tool. It can be used to nourish your body, or it can be used to take somebody's life. It's the same thing. You decide what you do with that resource, but every person should have a desire to be rich, because what you're saying is, I deserve. I'm worth it. I can create value in this world. I I'm capable of growing my skills, growing my beliefs, growing my character traits to become the person that I was created to become. Your 10.0 version, your best version. If you took all the best moments in your life where you stepped up powerfully and you're creative and you're resourceful and you're kind and you're gracious, all those things, if you took the best moments of your life, put them all together, if you actually live like that, all 18 hours you're awake or whatever amount of time you're awake, can you imagine that person? That's it. So when I say rich, I just say best version of yourself. You should want that.
What do you think about legacy?
Here's the deal. I think purpose is required. You can't have perseverance without purpose, because if you did, some people call that grit. I call it a grind. If you want to see somebody's soul just get deteriorated, have them work on something and not know why. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people. They feel fatigued. They feel like burnt out. And it's like, I've never been burnt out doing something I love for a purpose that's way bigger than me. What was the question again?
What do you think about legacy?
So the challenge is that I believe that focusing on other people is a good thing. I think using language around legacy can sometimes be another part of the ego playing tricks on you to do things for long term so you don't enjoy the short term. So a lot of people make sacrifices for legacy, for their family, for multi-generational wealth, whatever it is. They sacrifice in the short term, and I find that as a cop-out instead of just saying, hey, can I be present now? Can the best thing that I leave the world is me now in this moment for the rest of my life? Not a sacrifice for this generation that you'll never meet, that in 3 generations will never know your name. You cannot tell me your great-great-grandparents' names. Maybe 0.1% of you guys. But very few people know their lineage, nor does it matter. What matters is, how did you show up today? Who did you impact today? What kind of conversations did you have today? What kind of energy did you bring to every interaction with every person you had today? That's legacy. But it's not legacy the way most people think about it. It's a decision to leave the world a better place. I think the best thing you could ever leave the world is if you have kids, is your kids. Like that's my gift is not a financial bucket of money. My gift is going to be my children. It's going to be the relationships, the people that came into my life. It's the teams that I've built. I think legacy is just used as a cop-out for sacrificing today and not living today. I want to encourage people to just like show up fully present in the moment for now. Try to get it done in this lifetime. Afterwards, it's going to get redistributed to everybody. The idea of ownership is hilarious. Nothing you have, you own. You think you do, it's gone. Your home, not yours. You think you own the land, you don't. You think you have that money in that bank account, you don't. None of it. It's all borrowed. It's kind of like you're a custodian of it for a short period of time, and it all goes back to the economy once you're done. So you might as well just say, how can I use this to be the most present and supportive and giving person now, not worrying about 300 years from now. It turns out, though, if you do that, you'll probably leave on a mark. It turns out if you do that, you'll probably leave a mark on the world that will last 300, 500, 1,000 years. That's the funny part. If you actually live that way, I think it has the best chance of you living that long. The whole idea of like donating money to a hospital to put your name on a new section of the building, which in 20 years they'll literally sell your naming rights to the next person's highest bidder, that's not legacy. Legacy is how you show up today.
You had a tweet go viral a couple days ago, normalize leaving people in whatever reality they have chosen. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, the tweet that went viral, I wrote, normalize leaving people in the reality that they've chosen. And the reason why is, if you come to the understanding that every person is choosing their reality, okay? They're choosing the world as they want to see it. Because the world isn't as it is, the world is as you are. So whatever world that they see, the limitation, the lack, the frustration, the challenges, it's their world. I can't save any person. I can't convince other people to change their beliefs on the world. I can offer them perspectives and what I call POVs, points of views, that might influence them to make a decision to change that, but it's up to them. So I've just gotten to a place where I'm 100% comfortable and okay with somebody not seeing things the way I want to see it, or doing things in a way I wouldn't agree with, not being upset about it, but just letting them go through their world, be on their journey, and it not affect me. Because it truly is not my responsibility. And I think when I say normalizing is like, I would just hope everybody gets to understanding that sooner than later, so that they can actually live a life that's way more peaceful. Because once you realize there's nobody else to fix and it's really just you, that I can control. That I have agency over. And I can move through the world with that understanding, and I'll just let everybody else kind of figure out their stuff at their own timeline.
Is imposter syndrome a good or bad thing?
I think imposter syndrome's cool, because imposter syndrome tells you where you're at your upper limits of your comfort. Like, my favorite thing is to get in a room where I know that if anybody figured out that I was in it, they'd probably kick me out of it. Okay. At the same time, the nerves means I care. So the fact that you have imposter syndrome is actually a beautiful thing, because it tells you that you're honoring the opportunity you've been given. The challenge is when you act out of that feeling and you don't take action to be in that room. You convince yourself to not go. You let somebody else take the spot, whatever it is. Like, you just don't want to not step into it. But imposter syndrome is part of the process. Anytime that you're trying to do something for the first time, it's going to require you to show up in a way that from the outside seems confident, but inside it's kind of like the duck on the top of the water. It's just moving around the water really calm and collected, and underneath it's got its 2 feet just moving, frantically. That's like your internal emotions. I remember one time I got invited to an event and I had to go for a walk because I was so nervous, because every person I looked up to was in that room. Like, all the people I follow on the internet, they were in the room. I went to the gym in the morning. 13 people that I absolutely adore from Instagram were working out in that room. And I'm sitting there going, holy moly, I hope they like who I am. I mean, I was legit scared. I called my dad. I said, hey, Dad, I'm like way in over my head. And my dad's like, are you serious? Like, do you remember where you came from? Did you forget what you've accomplished? And I was like, yeah, but these people are way more accomplished. He goes, Dan, they'd be lucky to have a conversation with you. Like, I know you, and it blows my mind. What you've done, what you're doing, where you've come from, I don't even understand it. And I don't know, anybody that's ever done that, I would love to have a conversation with them. And I think that's a big idea for people to consider, is that inspiration doesn't come from the size of the thing you've accomplished. It comes from the place you started and how much people believe that was hard for you. And in many ways, imposter syndrome is just acknowledgement that, hey, this is really tough, but I showed up anyway. In spite of my fear of being discovered, not liked, rejected, kicked out, my fear, I showed up. I could have stayed in my hotel room. Nobody would have known I didn't show up except for me. So I hope you have a dad like I have, that every once in a while he knows the exact words to say. But I think imposter syndrome is just part of the journey.
How do wealthy people look at money?
Two things. Wealthy people look at money as a way to invest to get a return. Poor people look at money as a way to buy things. And literally that is the language. You give two people, poor person $1 million, wealthy person $1 million. Poor people get money and they start calculating the debt they could pay off, the couch they could buy, the new furniture they could buy, the trips they can go on, the new car they could lease, etc. They essentially spent the $1 million before it's even finished the wire transfer. The wealthy person doesn't rush to do anything with the money and starts considering, based on their allocation in their portfolio, where can I get the best return that makes the most sense for the long term? They don't think of acquiring more stuff. They think about it working for them. Poor people use money to consume. Wealthy people use money to create more money. That is the big difference between poor people and wealthy people.
How do wealthy people look at time?
I think wealthy people look at time as a resource that they can't get back. And they're always looking for ways to spend money to save time, not spend time to save money. And that's the big difference. At the end of the day, money can be created and generated, and based on the creativity and resourcefulness, you can make more. It doesn't matter what economic class you come from, rich, poor, middle class, etc. You cannot manufacture time. So understanding how to spend money to get time is the skill of wealthy people. And that's the difference between poor people and wealthy people. Poor people think, well, I'll just work harder and then I'll save money and that's how I collect money. No, you have to become better to create more money, so that's how you get money. Wealthy people are always about, how do I buy that time to then use the new time to go do things that are going to make me more money so that I can start building a surplus.
What are your thoughts on worthiness?
What are my thoughts on worthiness? I have a lot of thoughts. I don't know where to start. It's kind of like worthiness has different like kind of angles to it. There's the part of like, am I worth another person's time, right? Like I know I can add value to them, but if I don't feel like I can do that clearly, I might not be worth their time. So there's a worthiness of like, do I feel, regardless of the situation, that interacting with another person could be valuable to them under the right circumstance? That is one part of worthiness, like just in conversations and interactions. The other part of worthiness is, what do I deserve to have? Do I deserve to be rich? Do I deserve to have a nice car? Do I deserve to be in a loving relationship? If you don't believe that you deserve, you won't receive it, right? Because you'll never fight for that outcome. If you believe that you're an evil person, you've done some bad things, you have a lot of shame, then you'll never bring into your life the results of being somebody that deserves those things. As many ways, and I've said this so many times, you'll never get a penny more than you think you deserve. So even like the worthiness of like having money is on the byproduct of believing that what you do is valuable. And I think a lot of people discount what they do because they think that everybody else knows how to do it. They don't realize it took you 4 years to learn that, or you do it 2 times faster than anybody else that's closest to you, that your result is very abnormal because you know it so well, you're so close to it, you're just like, oh, everybody knows this. No, they don't. And if you can consistently get a result for somebody, that's worth a lot. It's worth a fraction of whatever result you can get for them. That's what I think of worthiness. There's like different dimensions to worthiness. Worthiness isn't just one component. It's a worthiness in a relationship, worthiness in all aspects of love and family and business and career. And then there's the worthiness of just attracting wealth into your life. I have friends that can't receive gifts because they don't feel worthy of those gifts because they feel like I have to earn those things. When they don't realize that we don't earn those things, we attract those things by becoming valuable. And if somebody wants to bless you, you should learn to accept a compliment, a gift. It all comes down to worthiness.
What's your definition of greatness?
My definition of greatness is very simple. Are the people closest to you better for having you in their life? That's greatness. Do people, your family, your friends, your peer groups, your coworkers, would they say their lives got better the more time they spent with you? The more interactions they had with you, the more time they got to work with you, the more time they had conversations with you, would they all say like, man, having that person around, having you around made my life better? That is greatness. A great person finds the greatness, pulls out the greatness, holds expectations of other people's greatness to the highest potential, and shows them through their own actions that it's possible. That's my definition of greatness. Great people bring greatness into other people's lives.
What do you hope to teach your kids about life?
I got a list of things I want to teach my kids about life, but there's a handful of stuff. First off, and they're pretty much all our core values. One, you don't deserve anything that you didn't go and create. No country, no family, no situation will ever get you what you think you deserve. You don't deserve anything unless you've created an environment or you've created the scenario where you've helped other people and you've collected a piece of that. So I think right off the bat, it's like, just because it's a certain time of day or a certain day of the week, you don't deserve anything right off the bat. Number two, you are incredible. I do this cool thing where I tell my kids about them. I tell them about their greatness. I tell them about their giftedness. I tell them about the Jesus I see inside of them. I tell them about their giftedness. Like, you are really good at this. You're awesome at this. I'm a big fan of teaching them that. I love teaching my kids to communicate with other people, especially adults. When you meet an adult, walk up to them, look them in the eye, introduce yourself, say your name clearly with confidence, ask them what their name is, smile. Simple will change the game for them in life. I teach them about collaboration, that if you want to go fast, sometimes you go alone, but if you want to go far, you got to go with people, right? And just showing them how to collaborate with other people, how to play nicely with other people, how to partner, how to set agreements, how to manage expectations, how to repair arguments. Huge area I teach my kids. Grit. I always celebrate the progress, not the outcome. Whenever my kid accomplishes in something, I say, tell me about how much effort you put into that. How many times did you want to quit? Tell me about those moments. I'm really proud of what you created, but I'm really impressed with the never-ending drive to get to that outcome. Because some kids, this stuff comes easy. Other ones, it comes hard. What I've discovered is people that are willing to do hard for long periods of time typically do really great in life. I teach them about compassion, about caring about the things the people they care about. And if people in your life care about helping the community, helping other kids, helping other families, then caring about those things is empathy. It's compassion. And I think, I always tell them that, like, that person could be your brother, could be your dad, could be me, could be your cousin. Just because they're not, they could be. So if you had a stranger come across your cousin, how would you want them to treat that person? If somebody, my son Noah, one time we saw a person struggling, and I said, what if that was Max, your brother? What if your brother, you didn't know where he was and he was walking around in a city and a stranger went up to him? How would you want that stranger to interact with them? That's how you should interact with that person, assuming that that is some person's brother, son, father. You don't know. What else do I teach them? I teach them about physical fitness. Health is wealth. That if you don't have the energy to keep pushing when you get tired, that's a decision you can make, that you have the capacity to turn that around, that what you put in your body affects your mind. I teach them a lot of stuff I teach the adults. I teach them the stuff that I know are going to be force multipliers to have a fulfilling life. I teach them to acquire knowledge, to read. It's impossible for you to know what you need to know already. It will always be external and you have to bring it internal. Everything that you want to achieve is going to be on the back end of learning something new and bring it into your life. Those are the big things I teach my kids.
How can someone raise kids to not be entitled?
I think the best way to raise kids and not be entitled is to not do things for them. Right? I'm not saying treat them bad, abuse them, all that stuff. People misunderstand me all the time. I'm saying let your kids learn how to do things. Let your kids learn how to tie their shoes, make their own lunches, clean their rooms, do their laundry. My kids do all of those things ever since they were like 6, 7, 8 years old, because I want them to understand that these are things that if you want to have happen, you got to make them happen for yourself. The other thing is I don't buy them everything they want. I get them what they need. I pay for food. I pay for clothes. I pay for the needs. And then we split the wants. The wants are 50-50. They got to go make money by working, finding opportunities in the house, offering me up different chores and projects. I don't put them on a salary or an allowance. They have to find things to do and I'll pay them. And if they can come up with half the money, then they can get what they want. But I only pay for the things they need and I go 50-50 on the wants. The final thing I'll say on this is set the context for your kids. Like my kids know when they're 18, they have to leave the house. Now, whether I do that or not doesn't matter. But the fact that I've been telling them since they were little kids has gotten them prepared for leaving. The affluent environment that they are growing up in, okay? Flying around on jets, living in big homes, flying around, driving around in supercars. That is not their reality. That's my reality. That's their parents' reality, okay? I say often, I'm rich, you're not. These people don't work for you. I'm here to love you. I will do that. I don't need to be your best friend. I can care about you, but I will support you in you creating and achieving value in the world independently yourself. That's how I avoid raising entitled children.
What's the best piece of parenting advice you ever heard?
The best piece of parenting advice I ever heard. I think the best piece of parenting advice I ever heard was celebrate the progress, not the destination. If a kid's climbing a mountain and they're struggling, stop, point down to the bottom, show them how small the parking lot was. Look how far you've come. Point to the mountaintop, celebrate the progress. Once they get to the top, talk about moments they wanted to give up. Celebrate those moments.
What's the secret to a successful relationship?
A successful relationship? I can only speak from my side of the table, like a male's opinion. Don't try to fix things. Like, unless you're being asked to fix something, just listen. But actually listen and want to listen. The cool part is you don't have to remember anything for the most part, and you don't have to fix anything. So just listen attentively and care and have empathy. That's like 80% of the challenge.
How do you know if you found the one?
Yeah, I don't know if I believe in the one. I believe in finding a partner that you feel confident that you want to invest your life with. And I think that there's probably a few people that could have worked out with. But at the end of the day, what matters is that you have a deep connection and appreciation for who they are and their character, and you're committed to that investment. Like, you want to co-create a future with this person, and trying to find the one is actually a kind of a crazy idea. And finding and investing, because like there's no a relationship that starts off perfect and stays perfect. It's going to require work. But what is going to be true is the desire to put that effort into the relationship to make it work.
Why do you do what you do?
I do what I do for little Dan. I do what I do because I know there's kids out there watching what I do, making decisions about how they show up in life. And if I can share my story of where I came from, where I'm at today, and all the different challenges that I had and continue to have, that I bring hope to those kids. That's why I do what I do. The success is required to get the attention of the people I really want to serve. Because I'll tell you, I don't know about you. I didn't go to university, but if I did, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't just happen to come up on my professor's Lamborghini in a parking lot. But when I look at my mentors and roll up to their jet or their yacht, that inspires me. And I know when I show up to these kids, to a rehab center, to a crisis center, to a group home or whatever, in a supercar, I get their attention and I get to have a conversation with them. That's why I do what I do.